In this part of the Real Crimes of Kurri Kurri, February edition, we will look at all the drink driving cases that happened on that day. And if there was one drink driving case we should hear about, it's the first one. Why? Because knowing details about the situation may deter us from doing drink driving. But to find out details, you had to be observing from the gurry, not just on this day in February, but also back when Kurri sat here in January. So the sentencing happened in February, where the end of the story is told, but to hear the beginning, we had to be listening back in early January. At sentencing in February, we heard that this was the driver's first offence. They haven't been able to work since being suspended roadside for mid-range drink driving in November 2024. So the person has now been unemployed for 3 months. They work in the traffic control industry and need a licence for work. There's a mention that there was light traffic, some rain, and they had a passenger. For me, it's the passenger that's important in telling the story to deter us from drink driving. And for those details, we had to be listening in court in January. The passenger who has been drinking actually owns the car. Last time we heard that the driver went on this night out without his car and didn't intend on driving. Their friend drove to the venue but didn't drive themselves home. Rather, they sat in the passenger seat of their own car while the driver drove and went on to get caught for drink driving. The driver loses their licence, loses their job, and now spends time at the New South Wales local court. It's assumed the friend has continued living their life, is driving around and goes to work, etc., etc. 3 months later, the driver is still feeling the consequences of their decision to drive their friend's car on that night. By the way, there's no information about this case in the public domain. There's no newspaper stories. I think it's a missed opportunity to have a conversation about drink driving. It's tricky to get the details because they're said weeks apart. I think the context, particularly how the friend goes on with their life while the driver has the consequences, is helpful to the rest of us to relate to the offending and for general deterrence to have a chance. The driver is placed on a conditional release order for 3 months. I think the roadside suspension has been the most impactful to this driver's life. So for the rest of us, would knowing that mid-range drink driving could see your licence suspended roadside deter us from drink driving? I'm going to say yes, that would deter me, because I need my licence. The second drink driving case involves a P-plate driver in their early 30s. This is their third drink driving offence. This happened in the Kurri area at 10 p.m. on the 2nd of December 2024, where police also claim that they were not displaying their P-plates. The magistrate exercises a lot of discretion in this case. I'm not going to actually discuss some of the details. From time to time when observing cases, you may hear about mental health issues. Some of the details in this case that were said in open court were both private and I found confronting. Please don't think mental health was used as an excuse for drink driving. It wasn't. Rather, mental health was a relevant context. I felt the magistrate acknowledged the situation and still dealt with the risk to the community. They explored if the driver currently owned a car, do they have access to a car, do they have the means to purchase a car. I think a case like this is a reminder that if you observe in the gurry to take care of yourself. Sometimes cases can include confronting details without warning. For example, on this day there was another case, not drink driving, rather it involves kids. Before I started, I knew it involved kids because it's been mentioned at a previous court date. Even if they don't close the court, they will generally take care around the details as not to breach the privacy of the kids involved. For me, I choose to leave and avoid hearing anything about the kids and the situation. That's just my preference. I don't observe cases where there's alleged offending towards children. So these cases confirm that Kurri is a typical town in New South Wales where there's not just petty crime, but all sorts of life's challenges.